What's going on? It's, November, and it's college football. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Not only do we get to enjoy college football and the race for the college football playoff, but us sweaty tryhards get to do a little, quote-unquote gambling. It's not gambling, but we all know it's gambling. We're going to be playing some DFS. That's what this show is about. We're going to cover college football DFS. What's up, new guy? My name's James, better known as the Degenerate75. I'm a DFS content creator who is here to help you get a little bit better at college football DFS, because if you don't know, you probably suck at it, and you don't even know why you suck at it. If you want picks and plays, you've come to the wrong show. Don't worry. There's 1,000 other little slapdick shows out there you can go tune into right now, big guy. But if you want to learn a little bit about the process and get better at it, you might have just found the right place. If you really find you like the cut of my jib, check out that schedule right there, you motherfather. I do this show every Friday. I do NFL on Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Tuesdays with a preview. And yes, I do golf. I am the golf guy. So come check all that out. And if you've never tried PGA, what the hell is wrong with you? All right, let's get going. Very first thing you got to talk about is contest selection. It's the first place you're dicking away all your money, and I will say they have the big $20 back up to $250,000, which is great because now that means first place is only 20% of the prize pool as opposed to 25%, which in my opinion makes it far more playable, right? Because the rest of that money gets distributed out to the top 10. If you get a 10th place, you're not going to be upset with winning $2,000, right? That's a good prize for 10th place. So pretty happy about the big lottery contest this week, to be honest. I still think you're going to want to play in smaller contests because you got to usually hit some fucking weirdo to place well in those. So, go check out the $5 single entry, the $153 max, the $5 single entry, $100 single entries. There's so many good contests. But what I'll tell you and what I'll just die telling you is you got to start playing head-to-heads and you got to start playing cash game. And when I say cash game, that basically is talking about double-ups and 50-50s. That is where the money is at. There are so many people out there that just make the most broke-dick lineups you've ever seen, and they just throw them in there like it's a GPP, and you just got to make a lineup that's just going to be solid, and you'll get there. I'm telling you. If you know... mess around with it, try to form a process, and I promise you can get to where you can win 55% of the time, which will more than cover the rake and make you a winning player. And you want to know something? It's better to win $50 every week than it is to lose 100. I believe a great mathematician once said that. Da Vinci. Maybe he was a scientist. Who fucking cares? We're not here for history lessons. Of course, the one contest you should definitely get in is mine. Go get in right now. Only 150 spots as people are, kind of dying down on college football. You slapdicks. Maybe November will get them fired up again. Go get that filled for me. It's a $5 3 max flat payout structure. Go get in there. A shout out to our winner last week, Possum Holler. Or would be... I believe that's what a possum does. I don't know. So there you go. Big shout out to him. Got Yanni B flying the flag. You gotta love it when they fly the flag. That's my flag, by the way. See how it says showdown, hoedown. You motherfather. All right, I got some prop bets for you, man. We've really been killing prop bets over in NFL, so I realize some of you like college football prop bets, so I've got a couple on here that I want to go over with you before we get into the DFS. Something that I really like this week, Eugene Wilson. This guy is turned into essentially the number 2 wide receiver for Florida, and he is getting a bang load of targets. I think that Florida game is going to be highly competitive, and they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. If he continues to get his 20 to 25% of that share, I think you're looking at 8 targets. He gets 5 catches. I think he easily gets 50 yards. Love Eugene Wilson over 49.5 receiving yards. Lab McConkey was broken. That dude was hurt, but he's back. You could tell last week he has that explosion back, and I think he's definitively the number 1 wide receiver for the Georgia Bulldogs. Brock Bowers is, of course, still out, so I think that makes McConkey a home run. And I think Missouri's going to push Georgia more than people realize. I love McConkey over 56.5 receiving yards this week. Another game that could shoot out. We always think of Alabama and LSU as playing defense, right? No, this game's going to be offense city. I would be shocked if both teams don't get over 28. And who's been Alabama's only consistent receiver this year with any big-time ability? It's been Jermaine Burton, right? And if LSU with Daniels and Neighbors and Thomas are going to be pushing the pace of this game, Burton is going to get plenty of targets. I love his over 63.5. Let's face it, that motherfather could get that in one play. Ollie Gordon is honestly turning into a dark horse Heisman candidate. He's playing my Sooners this week, which we are going to beat that ass, which is funny because I went to Oklahoma State. Anyways, I think his over receiving yards is far too low. No matter what happens in this game, if they're ahead, they're behind, they're going to be getting the ball to Ollie Gordon. It's not just going to be him running up the guard's ass every play. They're going to be throwing the ball to him. I really like him to get over 16.5 receiving yards because he's going to probably get, I shit you not, 6 targets out of the backfield and probably 25 carries. Lastly, Stanford to beat Washington State outright. That's not really a prop bet. That's just a straight up bet that, if you want to get a good money line bet, I actually got Kansas State at pretty good plus money to beat Texas, but that numbers went way down, so I can't promote that one. So I'll just be going Stanford over Washington State outright if you want a little head-to-head action. Stanford is slowly getting better, right? There's just some of these tough teams that get off to a slow start, but they kind of got a grinder's mentality, and they get better as the season goes on. I think Washington State was a bit of flash in the pan. I like Stanford to upset them. All right, let's get over to the Stone, talk about this college football slate. But before we do, just go check out my site, Degen75.com. We have college football DFS right here. We have packages as low as $5, and we do a stream every Saturday morning, the hour leading up to stream. You know who didn't play Le'Veon Moss? People on my fucking website, because we were there sweating, being sweaty tryhards, making sure we had all the useful information. People, this is why I would tell people, man, just go play Caleb. If you're between Caleb Williams and Dylan Gabriel last week, you're gonna play Dylan Gabriel in a monsoon over Caleb Williams in a nutted game. Get the fuck out of here, right? These are the kind of like strategic things we're talking about. This is the news we're staying up, because if you don't know, to be good at college football cash, you need to be up to date on the news. You need to be a sweaty tryhard who's checking your lineup and editing it, and you need to understand good scoring environments. If you're not doing those three things, you'll never win at cash. I encourage you to check it out. Check out all these winners from my website this last week. 2 guys winning $100,000, but more than that, I'm just proud of all these guys that are just winning GPPs, 2,500, 2,000, 1,000, 1,500, 400, 400. Like, that's awesome. Like, these guys, they're playing, $10, $20 a week. When you hit this, that's awesome when you hit 20 extra money, right? That is how you become sustainable, and that's what I preach over on my site. It is not about, like, I guarantee you're going to be a winner and win all this money. That shit's for the fucking birds. Get out of here with that shit. I'm going to teach you how to become a sustainable player and not blow through all your money. Have fun with it, and hopefully if you do it right long enough, build a process where you can hit a big one. I have this thing called the Rosetta Stone. It comes out to about $2 per stone I put out, because we put one out for DraftKings, we put one out for FanDuel, we put one out for the late slate. Any slate that has over 4 games, we're doing a Rosetta Stone. Has everything you need. We'll be looking at the Rosetta Stone here, but it's going to be the free YouTube version. You're going to like it. If all this sounds interesting, just go sign up for my newsletter, right? Which is in the description of this video. We'll give you a free week on my website, and then I know you'll want to stay. With bowl season coming up, it's going to be nutted season at college football. I mean, no matter how stuck you are this year, I promise you, if you just get your money in and some cash games in the bowl season, people are going to be like, oh shit, his sitting out? They don't even know. They don't even fucking know. So come check it out. All right, let's get to this slate. We have a 12-game slate over on DraftKings this week on the main slate. Yes, there is a night slate and all that. We're only talking about the main slate because I don't want to be here all fucking night. Matter of fact, I'm recording this early in the day. You probably see the time right over there, right there. And I'm going to sneak away, go watch my buddy coach a high school football game tonight. Go. What the hell's their name? I don't even know. Tigers? I think they're I don't know. Go Tigers. Actually, go Sooners. All right, here we go. Notre Dame, Clemson, not a great total. 45.5 point total, not the greatest game. And I think a lot of the guys in this game are just a little overpriced, right? Now, Sam Hartman is 6,900. Nice. But no way I'm playing him, right? Against this Clemson defense. Clemson is not great this year, but they're still playing defense. And Sam Hartman, he's not that good. He's not that good of a fantasy quarterback, okay? And we're here to play fantasy football. This is DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. I'm out. Audric Estimate down to 7,100 is interesting, though, because that guy gets a lot of volume. And at 7,100, I think he's a really good GPP play. I don't think I can get him in my cash lineup, but I like that. The other big news is is it Mitchell Evans, the big wide receiver, or tight end, from Notre Dame is out. So someone's got to fill that vacuum. I think Rico Flores could be a sneaky one to fill that vacuum. For Clemson, they're weird, right? First of all, we got to watch out with Will Shipley. If Will Shipley's out, I think Phil Maffa becomes big-time play here, right? But I think Shipley's trending towards playing. He's in concussion protocol, so we're going to have to watch that. Cade Klubnik at 7,700. I'm sorry, not a chance in hell I'm playing him. With Antonio Williams out, I think you always need to be considering Tyler Brown, but he's a little banged up himself. So once again, be watching the news and be monitoring that, okay? This K-State-Texas game, I'm telling you, K-State's going to win this game. You heard it here first, Bob. And yes, I might have a little OU bias, but I don't give a shit. I got this game at +9. Let's go. All right, so Kansas State, you can't play their quarterbacks, right? We have Will Howard, who's actually doing pretty nice now. And right now that he has the freshman Avery Johnson lighting his ass up, he turned into fucking Joe Namath all of a sudden, right? But I don't think either of them are playable at those price tags. The running backs, Giddens and Ward, have both been incredibly efficient this year, but it's truly almost a 50-50 backfield split. And, Texas does have a solid run defense. I think there's better places to get it in, but in a GPP, I don't mind one of these games, especially if you think Kansas State's going to control and win this game. Wide receiver, I think Phillip Brooks is a guy that, he's the only guy they pass the ball to. Him and Snotface are the only two that get any targets at 4,900 in a game that could sneaky shoot out. I think Phillip Brooks is a real sneaky play. Malik Murphy, I think people are going to be jamming him in at 6,300. They think he's fast and he can run, but I know a little secret that they don't. Malik Murphy fucking sucks. He is not a good quarterback, right? Even the touchdown he threw last week, let Thunder throw it by 10 yards and let your wide receiver bail your ass out, you slapdick. You know how to step into a pass? He's not good. He is not a good quarterback. He's not a good regular quarterback, nor is he a good fantasy quarterback. You go play all the Malik Murphy you want, but just know he sucks. But you know who doesn't suck? Jonathan Brooks. That guy is a straight up beast. He might be the most talented running back in the country. He is unbelievable. He is fast. He is powerful. He is patient. He is everything you want in a running back. And I truly think Texas is going to run him no less than 25 times in this game. And if you tell me that Jonathan Brooks is going to get 25 guaranteed touches, I don't give a shit what his price tag is. He is going to be right up at the top of my list. So be watching him. Yes, it sucks he's priced up to 7,800, but Jesus, man, that guy is so good, and they are going to need him because Malik Murphy is a fraud. Which, by the way, if Malik Murphy's a fraud, you got to think that most of these wide receivers are almost unplayable too. Worthy would be the only one I would consider because he's good. But other than that, like, these guys are just too expensive versus Malik Murphy throwing the ball. If Quinn Ewers is in there, I would be all about these wide receivers. But with no Quinn Ewers, Malik Murphy is garbage. Okay, so you got to like nuke these guys like 25-30% in their projections, and when you do that, they're just way overpriced. Getting done A&M and Mississippi. I kind of like this game, Bob. Mississippi kind of they're going to score. They're going to score on anybody, face it. But they also don't mind giving up some points. They remind me of my Sooners. We'll score a lot of points, but you're going to score a lot too. Max Johnson, I think he sucks, but in this game environment, if there's ever a game he can go off at 6,000, I think he is very playable. Le'Veon Moss, to me, is the most interesting play in this entire game because he was out last week with a hamstring, and something like 45% of people still played him. Check the news, dipshits. Le'Veon Moss is preparing to play. He is probable. I think he's going to play, and he's been leading this backfield. And I think at 5,100, if you're going to need some price savings at running back, I really like him this week. I think Evan Stewart and Anais Smith are also really good options, especially in GPPs if you do want to run a disgusting Max Jones stack, right? I think those are the two most likely people, and Anais Smith's a really nice price at 5,100. Aeneas Smith? And I call him whatever the hell I want. He plays at A&M. Mississippi, I just can't figure out what's up with Judkins. I swear that guy is so good, and like Ole Miss is like, yeah, we hear what you're saying, but we're just going to make him look shitty. And you got to give it up. That offense somehow makes Judkins look shitty. Jackson Dart is kind of a stud, and at 7,800, he's finally priced to play. He's been like over 9,000 all year. Now we get him at 7,800. It's really hard to pass that up with a 4-touchdown total. He's a guy that runs the ball. He's a guy that passes the ball, and he has weapons galore. Harris, Watkins, Wade, all legitimate wide receivers. Mississippi's offense is badass. If I'm playing GPPs, this is a game I'm trying to get some correlation in because this just reeks of like a 42-35 game. Arkansas, Florida, a couple bummer teams. KJ Jefferson used to be my spirit horse last year at cash. This year he's just a broke down horse. He just sucks, which sucks because I like old KJ Jefferson. Guy's a big old stallion out there. I think the big news to watch here is Raheem Sanders going to play? I'm thinking he's probably not going to play, which makes old Rashad Dubunion pretty playable at 4,900. But we do got to watch that news because if Sanders does play, they're probably going to split that pretty 50-50. I don't love it. Andrew Armstrong is definitely the number one wide receiver there. You can see he's getting 7 targets a game. I think you can consider him, but man, they only have a 21-point total, and KJ just hasn't looked right this year. I think there's something wrong with him. Florida, on the other hand, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Graham Mertz is almost a consideration at GBPs, right? Almost a consideration. Etienne's back and Montrell Johnson, so they're going to be in that 50-50 backfield. No way I'm playing either of those guys. But here is some plays that I think you can consider. No one's going to play Ricky Pearsall at 7,100. And if this game if they're going to pass for 250 yards, you got to imagine he's going to get about 30% of that target share, right? But the more interesting play is Eugene Wilson III. This guy is kind of bursting onto the scene and has established himself as clearly the number 2 wide receiver and has actually been comparable at targets with Pearsall over the past couple weeks. So be watching out for him. I think he's a really good guy to consider both at GPPs and cash. Moving on, we have Ohio State and Rutgers. Kyle McCord, he's garbage. Abuka, I think, is going to be out. They're so weird about that whole Abuka situation. So Marvin Harrison at 8,900, it's just hard to play him when Kyle McCord kind of sucks dick. Like, he's just not good. I'm sorry, he's not. Maybe he's a good, like, game manager, but, like, we're not here for game managers. We're here for guys that put up 35 points and drop dimes. All right? The big news with Ohio State is it does appear as though Maya Williams is done for the year, and Travion Henderson has finally got that backfield onto himself. Yes, Chip Terrarium is still playing, but we saw him playing last week, and Henderson still got almost all of the work out of the backfield. So he's very interesting at 6,500. I think you got to be considering him. Rutgers, don't play anybody. There you go. I think some people are going to talk themselves into this Kyle Managai, whatever. You go play them all you want, pal. I'll go play real running backs. Speaking of real running backs, Air Force. Air Force is pretty good, right? They're pretty good. They get a pretty good offense, right? And it's basically just Emmanuel Michael, who's like their fullback, and Zach Larrier, the quarterback. And I don't love those two guys together, but I think one of those guys is due for a monster game. You can see they have a 26-point team total. They're playing Army, who they are going to dominate. And I just really like both of them to probably get 20 carries. And I think one of them's probably going to get 2 touchdowns and is going to be a nutted play. I don't think those two play nicely together, but you got to play one of them. If you want to play somebody from Army, well, I can tell you who to play. Don't. That's who you should play. Don't do it, Bob. Florida State, Pittsburgh just reeks of blowout. If you think Pitt can push them, I think Jordan Travis is the guy that's finally starting to run more, really starting to have those big upside games that we've been expecting from him all season. So if you think Pitt can keep this game close and you get 4 quarters out of Jordan Travis, I think he is viable, right? Trey Benson's a home run hitter. I'd never play him at cash, but I think you're a fool if you're not considering for GPPs. And to me, the big news here is Johnny Wilson. Is he going to be out again? He was out again last week, and if he's out, I think that gives a big boost to Jaheim Bell and to Poitier, and I think Coleman even gets a nice boost. So be watching that. That Johnny Wilson news is pretty big because it's going to open up some value for Florida State if he is indeed out again. Who do you play from Pittsburgh? I mean, I don't know. I guess Sebo Flimster, name of the year. But, man, why? Just don't play any of them. There, I just saved you some time. Get teams who are going to move the ball, not teams who are going to score 12 points. Virginia Tech, Louisville. There's no vowels on Louisville, okay? Virginia Tech and Louisville is, look, this Jones guy, he's actually starting to trend up, right? Virginia Tech has started playing well, and it's always been on the back of him starting to become an actual quarterback. He runs the ball, he passes the ball, and they're likely to be in a script where they're going to be behind. Hopefully, he can be throwing drones. Touchdown. That's a drone. I don't know if that came through. The Pharaoh, Tootin, is a little banged up. He could be out. If he's out, I think Malachi Thomas opens up a ton of value at running back. I don't love any of his wide receivers. They spread around. If you made me pick one, I'd say Lane, but I'm staying away from that. Louisville, on the other hand, I think Jack Plummer's priced to play this week, okay? And this is a team that will get into some shootouts, all right? So don't be afraid to mix in some Jack Plummer to your GPPs. Jawar Jordan at 6,700 just seems underpriced for what a home run hitter he's been this year. In a game script where they're likely to be ahead, I think he's going to get 20 carries. And if he turns that into 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, he's probably a nutted play. And, of course, Jamari Thrash does seem to be reestablishing himself as the usage monster there at Louisville. So I do not mind him either. Going over to Bedlam, the last Bedlam forever. I'm not going to the game. I was going to go to the game, but it's at 2:30, and I can't be home for the NFL stream in time. I think Dylan Gabriel is about as nutted of his position as he can. You're like, oh, but he sucked last week. First of all, he wasn't even that bad because he still rushed for 3 touchdowns for all you donkeys that played him in a monsoon. And Dylan Gabriel, they're going to let him loose this week. He is going to be passing the ball. OU is going to have to score, and I know my Sooners, and I will guarantee they will score 35 points. Now, maybe that's going to be all rushing touchdowns, but they are going to move the ball. If you have, this is one of the few times we've seen Dylan Gabriel under $9,000 with a huge total. OU is going to move the ball. He's running. He's passing. He has weapons. And Oklahoma State is certainly going to push the pace of this game. So I think Dylan Gabriel is about as nutted of a play as you can have this week. The running back situation is weird. We still don't know what is up with Marcus Major. He was out last week. If he's out, I think that you are going to see a lot of Tawee Walker. But do not forget, he turned his ankle against Kansas and didn't play basically the whole second half. So we have to watch his status too. But I think if we get word that Major's out and Walker is in, I think Walker is going to lead that backfield. At wide receiver, OU is really struggling without Andrell Anthony. No one has filled that void yet, but the 2 guys most likely to do it are definitely Jalil Farouk and Nick Anderson. Once again, they let everybody down last week because people decided to play wide receivers in a monsoon. Once again, what the fuck ever. These guys are going to be mint conditions. Stillwater Saturday afternoon is going to be lovely. I think that this game is going to be a big game. I think Gabriel throws for over 300 yards, and if he's throwing over 300 yards, you got to imagine either Farouk or Anderson or maybe Stoops to a lesser extent is going to get some of that action. Oklahoma State has the all-world Ollie Gordon, who's kind of turned into a Heisman dark horse just because everybody else is like, Heisman, I don't want that. I'm just going to suck. Okay, they're doing it. And if he has one more big game, I think he's literally going to get to New York City. If they keep winning, they win this game, he goes for 250, he is going to New York City. At 7,200, he's just wildly underpriced. I do think the Sooners are going to make a point to try to shut him down, but I also think that he's going to get 25 to 30 touches. And at 25 to 30 touches with his talent, he's still going to grind out 20 points, right? I think the more interesting play here is in GPPs. Go look at a Bowman stack. Consider stacking him with Presley, Owens, Bray. And if you really want a nasty putt, Leon Johnson did start to get some targets last game. This Georgia-Missouri game is one that I have warmed up to quite a bit. I do think Missouri can push Georgia a little bit. Brady Cook, Schrader, Burden, Weiss, they have some weapons. Hell, even Mookie Cooper's solid. But I think I'm more interested in the Georgia side, right? If they're actually going to get pushed and you're going to see 4 quarters of them playing aggressive offense, I think Carson Beck stacks and GBPs actually make sense for once, right? They're letting him start to throw the ball. He's taking more those valuable plays down the field where you get the points. And I really like McConkey and Lovett as his top 2 receivers, right? I think that is who it's going to. With Bowers out, I think we're really starting to see the usage go to those 2 guys. And I don't even mind an old Dijon Edwards to slather on my lineups. Penn State, Maryland, I just hate games like this. I do, I get that it's a decently competitive total, but man, who are you playing from Penn State? I like those 2 running backs, they got to just drive you nuts. They're both just always solid. They're always in a great script, and they never have big games. I get playing them in GPPs because of their upside, but God, they will tilt your nuts. And then Keandre Lambert-Smith, definitely the number 1 wide receiver, but playing $6,500 wide receivers from Penn State, I think I'd rather just take a swift kick of the nutsack. Maryland, I can't even remember. One of their wide receivers is out. His name escapes me, so probably a little bit of value at wide receiver, but Maryland is notorious for spreading the ball to all their wide receivers. Baby Tua is overpriced. I just can't play him. They only have a 19-point total. I'm out on them, but, I don't get it. And then my favorite game on the slate is this last game. Hopefully everybody doesn't know about it, although after they watch this show, they might, Bob. This James Madison Georgia State game. These are 2 offenses that are pretty good. They're both fast, and they have a respectable competitive total. I think we'll start with James Madison. This is a team you don't know about, and they're badass. I mean, they're a good football team, right? They're getting screwed by some rule about they can't play in a bowl game this year, which is so silly, so silly. So James Madison, McLeod is a badass at the quarterback. At 8,100, I think he's very playable. He doesn't rush a lot. He's more of a pocket quarterback, but that also means that he throws the ball a lot, and he has 2 wide receivers in Brown and Surratt that are just disgustingly underpriced. Both of these guys should be over $6,000. Brown is $5,000. Surratt's $4,800. They are about as locked in as you could be on this slate. Don't forget about Kalen Black at running back. I think he's really good. If you're running a game stack, you want to get in here and be a little different, just go grab Kalen Black and stay off McLeod, Brown, and Surratt. That's a good way to get some leverage in GPPs because those wide receivers are going to be, I'm talking like over 50% owned in GPPs. For Georgia State, dude, I'm telling you, Darren Granger's a stud. I remember playing him like week 1 this year and just auto-cashing. Dude's an animal. And Marcus Carroll's a badass too. He plays, look at that, 24 rushes a game. It is hard to not get that motherfather in your lineups, right? I will say that there is a chance they could be in a negative game script, and James Madison has been very good against the rush this year. So watch out for that. That would be my only concern with Carroll, but man, if you're just a straight volume guy, he might get there. And then Robert Lewis is definitively their number 1 wide receiver. You can see he's getting 8.3 targets a game. To me, this is just a game you really want to get after. You're really going to want to get some correlation in this game. And if you're playing GPPs and you're not trying to get any access to this game in any of your lineups, let me just go ahead and tell you how it's going to go for you. Not well, pal. There you go. That is the 12-game slate. It's a pretty good slate. Only a couple slapdick games. If you want my projections, right? Because you really need projections this day and age because college football has so many teams, so many players, so much news. You need somebody. Look, I've got all of my projections already loaded into this thing right here called the Solver. It's the best optimizer out there. You can take this, you can use my projections, and you can build your own lineups with ownership, and you can build the nutted lineups both for GPPs and cash, right? And you're thinking, man, I'm a casual player. I can't afford that shit, dude. It's $24.99 a month. Not only do you get the optimizer, that's with my projections and with my ownership baked into it, and I do it for every single slate, right? So you want to play the 2-game Friday slate? It's in there, right? You just simply use my little landing page right there with that showdown hoedown symbol, and that will get you in there, right? It is different from my website. My website is where you get the Rosetta Stone, but if you don't want that, you just want the projections, use this. If you don't care about an optimizer and you just want the stone, well, come on over to dgen75.com. All right, guys, it's been fun. It's been real, but I got to run. I'll talk to you next time. You motherfathers, enjoy this outro.